What's up, everybody? Fusion64 here today, and we've got some pretty grim news on Naughty Dog's Factions multiplayer game. Before I get into that, do me a favor, if you're new here, like this video, hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel. Let's get started. Alright, so if you recall earlier in the year, Bloomberg reported that Bungie came into Naughty Dog and basically said that their Factions multiplayer game wasn't sticky enough. It wasn't going to hold players in for the long haul. And it was kind of up in limbo. We were supposed to hear more about it this year. Well, now today, reports coming from Kotaku are saying that Naughty Dog is laying off contract developers. Over 25 people have been cut. And Factions is not canceled, but on ice. And these contract workers are not being offered severance packages, which isn't totally out of the norm. But it's being reported that remaining employees are being pressured to keep this news quiet, which seems pretty suspect. And one source now telling Kotaku that while the game is not completely canceled, it's basically on ice at this point. Oof, that doesn't sound very good at all. So Sony's live service push seems to be off to a pretty bad start. If you recall earlier in the year, Deviation Games, which was supposed to be making a PlayStation exclusive game, was basically canceled. The co-founder of the studio, who was one of the people that helped create the Call of Duty Zombies franchise, left the studio. They laid off most of the people. PlayStation was funding this game, and it was canceled. Now we have this news about Factions, and I don't know if we'll ever see this Last of Us Factions multiplayer game, which is a shame because the Last of Us 2 gameplay is absolutely amazing, and it's going to suck that we're not getting a multiplayer game from that gameplay. I mean, that game came out in 2020, and still no kind of multiplayer game out of this. I think it's just absolutely crazy that PlayStation has one of their best, if not their best studio, one of the best studios in the entire industry, working on this live service multiplayer crap when they could have been making a brand new single player game. And they've probably wasted a good 2-3 years at least on this project, and all for nothing. All for nothing. Chasing this live service money has done damage to some of the best studios around. You look at Ubisoft. Ubisoft for years was chasing this live service money, and it felt like every couple months they were releasing and then closing and shutting down a new live service game. You look at something like BioWare. BioWare was an RPG powerhouse, and they started chasing the live service stuff with Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem, and now they are a shell of themselves. Now, I think that PlayStation, it's smart for them to to chase a little bit of this live service money, but I really think it's a bad idea to be wasting a lot of first-party development time on these live service games when they could be doing what they do best and making amazing single-player games. Now, Spider-Man, when that comes out, that's not taking away from God of War, and God of War is not taking away from Horizon, or Horizon's not taking away from Last of Us. You can play a lot of these single-player games that only come out, once, twice, 3 times a year, but the live service games, they eat into each other. People are not gonna play, the latest live service game if it's not better than the one that they're currently playing. That's what I talked about in the previous video for Foam Stars, which Foam Stars can come out, and if that's not better than the current live service game that you're playing, there's no reason for you to drop it. It's got to be better. It's got to have better support. It's got to have a better hook. It's got to have more things for you to invest your time in, and if it doesn't, you're just not going to stick to that game. Whereas a single-player game, you can play one single-player game, finish it, and then move on to the next one. So I really think they got to be careful chasing all this live service money and make sure they don't screw up where their bread is buttered in the single-player, story-driven games. So that's what I think about this subject. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Are you all in on these live service games that PlayStation is investing in, or would you rather them stick to the single-player, narrative-driven, cinematic experiences that we all love? Once again, do me a favor, if you're new here, you like this video, hit that like button, consider subscribing to the channel. Fusion64 out.